Morning, everyone. Welcome to this Getting Started with TradeStation class. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. For me, it's always a pleasure to talk about TradeStation's technology. So let's use this presentation as a way for you to make sure that all your questions are answered and that you have a good handle on the TradeStation Desktop's functionality. Before we get started, the usual disclosures, just keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, active trading is not suitable for everyone, and past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. For additional information on these disclosures, visit www.tradestation.com/important-information. We also have the disclosures on futures and options right there at the bottom of this slide. Depending on which asset class you're trading, disclosures are important and we should be aware of them. Okay, let's go ahead and switch over to the TradeStation platform and get started on this class. By the way, I'm joined by my colleague Manolo. He's going to be moderating the chat. So if there's any questions or any things that you'd like to ask him, feel free to do so. I'm going to be glancing over at the chat window also once in a while to make sure that I'm addressing questions real time. So let's get started. We are getting questions already. How to trade options? This is the question from Kareem. Using the stock chart. The stock chart. Okay. So you want to trade options using a chart. Okay. It may not be something that we are going to cover today, but if we have some time towards the end of the presentation, I'll give you a few tips on that topic. Okay. We do have a class that's options related. It's Option Station Pro. I'm not sure if we have it on the schedule, Manolo. But I'm sure Manolo can share the link to our upcoming events, and one of them is going to be based on Option Station Pro. We may have a mixture of different levels of, let's say, knowledge on the TradeStation platform. I'm not sure how long you guys have been using TradeStation so far. It'd be interesting to know if you can share right there in the chat how long it's been. This is an introductory class on some of the most used functions of the TradeStation platform. When you first open up, so we're getting some comments here. Brent, it's been 4 years. AJ, he just downloaded yesterday. Kareem just opened up an account. Eric just starting. Jan, there's been 4 years. And this is great because you can see that there's a mix of expertise on the platform. And I realize that sometimes, even though you've been using the platform for some time, there's always some things here and there that escape your knowledge. And it's very cool to find out something new about the platform that you've been using for so many years. And all of a sudden, it improves your process so much just by using that tip. So I do appreciate, everybody just being on top of the technology. There's a lot of new things that have happened on the TradeStation platform, and it's always good to have you here. First time, there's always, exactly, Brent, there's always something to learn. So TS today, by the way, this is a workspace that opens up when you log into TradeStation. It is designed to pretty much keep you up to speed with what's happening with the TradeStation, not only platform, but also us as an education department or as a business. Over here on the left-hand side, hopefully you can see my cursor, we have some featured videos. It starts with an introduction to the TradeStation Desktop, which is about, I think it's 7-minute video on, highlights of the desktop. But if you go to this drop down, we've added a couple videos that you can watch on the TradeStation Desktop. These are our archived recordings that you can watch. Eventually, we come in here and add additional videos for you to watch. So make sure that you check the drop down to see if something has been added new. Right here in the middle, we have the social feed. So anytime TradeStation posts on Twitter, it'll be reflected here. Although I think the plugin here is kind of broken because I see the last post here from 56 days ago. I'm not sure. Is it broken, Manolo? Maybe Manolo has a little bit more information about what's happening with what's happening. And here on the right-hand side, we have upcoming events. Today is the 24th of May. So we are a little behind on updating here the events. As I can see, I'm not sure if I'm getting a different version of TS today that you guys are getting, but it seems like we are a little delayed here on the events as well. I recommend that if you're looking for something, more updated, go to the TradeStation website. We have all the events there that you can, register for. At the bottom left here, we have a series of recommended workspaces. If we're just getting started with TradeStation, sometimes you want to see an example of what a traditional layout may look like. So you can open up any of the ones that are built into TradeStation, like Market Outlook, Day Trader, Futures Trader, whatever fits your trading style. You can start off with any of the recommended workspaces. But as you get more familiar with TradeStation, you're probably going to want to start your workspaces from scratch because everyone has their own personal style. Everyone wants to see specific things on their TradeStation workspace. So we give you all that flexibility in the TradeStation platform so you can make your trading platform the platform that you want, and it's efficient. It works for you. There's no wrong answer here. Every layout that you create is going to be fitting your style, okay? AJ is asking, is that on the practice platform? I suppose you mean the trading simulator. Yes, right now I am connected to a trading simulator. In fact, I think if you've all logged on to the TradeStation platform, you probably noticed that you have two buttons. You have one for live trading and one for simulated trading. I do recommend that you connect to the trading simulator so that you don't risk, your capital trying to learn certain trading functionality. You're just using the trading simulator. If you closed TS today, Jim, and you want to reopen it, go to the apps menu right here at the top of TradeStation, and then you'll see the TS today button right here towards the top. That'll open the workspace back up. All right, so Manolo says that he's gonna update those events right after this class, so we look forward to that. Manolo, do you have any information on the plugin here for the social feed? It seems like it's not updating either, so anything you can tell us here would be great. If not, I mean, it's okay too. And Eric, okay, bringing up TS today, right there in the apps menu. So one thing to keep in mind, AJ, is that when you switch environments, from live trading to simulated, that doesn't change the TradeStation desktop at all. You have the exact same functionality. The only thing that changes is how the orders are executed. Instead of going to the actual, real exchange, they get executed in a simulated environment. But you get all the same functionality. So you can start building your workspaces inside of a simulator so that when you switch over to the live account, everything is already created. You don't have to start everything from scratch because it's the same platform, the same software. What we're just switching is the way that, the trades are being executed. So give that a try. So right here at the bottom, we have a tab for TS today and I have a plus sign. I'm going to click on the plus to open up a new workspace. So this is how you would go about creating your own custom workspaces. My classes usually start, with a brand new workspace. But if you need a little bit of an example on how a workspace is set up, you can open up one of the built-in workspaces. Here, I'm just going to go to apps and open up a chart analysis. By the way, when you go to the apps menu, you find a lot of icons and a little bit overwhelming. But today, we're just going to highlight three main tools of the TradeStation desktop that are charting, scanning, and trading. We're going to keep the presentation rather basic and show you a few things you can do on those three applications. And then towards the end of the presentation, we're going to open up the floor for Q&A in case you have specific questions on TradeStation that you haven't been able to find an answer to. So here's a chart analysis window. If I need multiple charts, I just have to go to apps and click on chart analysis as many times as I need a chart. So there's no limit to the number of charts that you can have open. On TradeStation, let me just open up a few charts here. Apps, chart analysis. Makes it very simple to organize your work. Right now, as you can see, I have 4 different chart analysis windows. And I go here to the window menu and I can click Arrange All. Arrange All, see what it did? It actually found a specific space for each one of the applications that I had opened. Sometimes I find that very convenient. rather than having to resize every window individually, I can just click on Arrange All, and it finds a spot for each one of my applications. Since I have this set up here with 4 different charts, let me talk a little bit about window linking, because it's going to also improve or make your flow a little bit more efficient when it comes to changing symbols. One thing that I have here on my desktop that you probably don't have on yours is that I have my title bars and menu bars visible at all times. This is something that is not turned on by default. And I don't get this question a lot, but you notice that as I click on the different windows here, there's not a lot of movement and a lot of shifting. And I say that because by default, the title bar of the window and the menu bar disappear if it's not the active window. So when you click on a window, then you see the title bar and you see the menu. I think TradeStation did that so that it maximizes the real estate of your monitor. So if you're not using a particular application, there's no need for you to have the menu visible and the title bar visible. If you notice on all these 4 charts, the menu bar is exactly the same. So they thought maybe saving that 1/4 of an inch at the top of the chart is useful for some of the traders out there. So excuse me, when you sorry about that. When you first install TradeStation, you're going to see this kind of behavior of clicking on windows and having the title bar and menu bar up here. What I did is I went to the view menu and I went to application toolbars. And there's an option here that says show on active. I put mine on show all. So all my windows have the menu bar, and it minimizes that shifting and that jerky movement that happens when I click on an application. Personal preference, of course. I mean, if you like the way that TradeStation comes by default, you're just, you can just leave it the way it is. And you're going to find that a lot of the things on the TradeStation platform are more of a preference thing. If it works for you, then do it that way, because we don't want to break the process. We don't want to make things uncomfortable. We just want to make things as efficient as possible. So that's the menu bar. The title bar is another, you have to go to a different dialog. You have to go to File, Preferences, Desktop, and over here we go to the View tab. And here are the title bars that you can display. The option that is selected by default is only show the title bar on the active window. I've set mine to show title bar on window selected above, and I have all the windows selected so that when I have multiple applications on my view, they all have the title bar, they all have the menu bar, and it minimizes the shifting. I'm not sure how many people here have set their TradeStations to do this, or if you like the default. It'd be interesting to know, what you guys think, okay? So that's the reason why sometimes the menu and the title bar may just disappear on you because it's not the active window. Linking. The linking buttons, and I went on that tangent because I was just going to talk about window linking, and I realized that if you don't have all the title bars visible, these 2 buttons, the S and the I, do not automatically show up on all the different applications because the title bar gets kind of squashed, and the linking buttons appear more like a little tab more than a button. So that's the difference. What you see when the title bar gets hidden on inactive windows. So I like my title bars to display the buttons because it gives me better visibility on window linking, and I can link these windows by symbol. Notice that I've made my left 2 charts a green group, and I can make these. Let me go to the drop down. There's a little drop down on the right of the button that allows you to select different colors, and I can set maybe these 2 to yellow. So if I come here and I change the symbol, let's say that I want to see Apple, AAPL. I'm introducing functionality here. I just pressed the keys on my keyboard, AAPL, and the command line showed up. I know that I'm talking about several things at the same time, but as things are showing up on my screen, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of what's happening. I pressed the keys AAPL because I wanted to change the symbol to Apple, and the command line shows up right there in the middle. That's something that happens automatically. The command line is going to be your best friend in changing the symbol, loading historical data, and also changing the time frame of the chart. I find that very useful. So use your keyboard to make changes to the chart. One of those changes is changing the symbol. I typed in Apple, hit enter. And since the two charts here on the right-hand side are linked, then they're both fed to Apple. You see? I'm going to click on one of the charts here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to change those to Intel, INTC, again, hit enter, and then the two charts change to Intel. I can also do that with the interval. I'm going to link the top two, and those are going to be 5-minute charts. And then I'm going to link the bottom two, and I'm going to select a different color. I'm going to make this the dark blue. Notice what I did just a moment ago. I changed the top two charts to 5 minutes using the keyboard, and it happened so quick that you probably didn't catch what I did. I just typed it in. If I want to make the bottom ones 60-minute charts, I'm going to type in 60 space MIN. Again, the command line pops up automatically. You don't have to do anything to pop it up. As soon as you start typing keys on the keyboard, it realizes that you're entering a command, and it'll just pop up for you automatically. And you can see that inside the command line, I just typed in 60 space MIN, which is a short for minutes. Hit the enter key. Now the two bottom charts are set to 60 minutes. Linking is great. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but let me go here to the drop down. You have what's called a local link, and you have a global link. The difference is that a local link only works within the workspace that you're in. All the ones that I worked on right now were all local. So this view, this workspace that I just opened right here at the bottom, this untitled workspace, the link is for inside that workspace. But you can set it to global, and global just means across different workspaces and across different desktops. And that's a very cool kind of link, because you can have all sorts of applications switch to the symbol automatically as soon as you make a change in one of your workspaces. Pretty cool, huh? All right, enough about linking, enough about organizing. Let me know here if you have any questions. But let's go ahead and jump over to drawing and analysis techniques. I'm going to close out some of these windows. All right, let me open this up. The drawing menu is right here. At the top of the chart, you have all sorts of drawings that you can put on the chart. Some of them are analytical, some of them are not. Some of them are like markers, like arrows and text and things that you can put on the chart. Some of them, require 1 click. Some of them require 2 clicks, and some of them requires 3 clicks, depending on which one you're using. For example, the horizontal line, it's a very quick type of drawing tool. I'm going to select it. My cursor changes. Right now, I'm looking at Intel. Intel is trading at 2906. It's been dropping since the opening of this morning. You can see the opening right here. This dotted line identifies the opening of the day. I can see the opening price up here. It opened at 29.31. The price is 21.08. It's down about 1.5%. But if it picks up again, maybe I want to be notified. Maybe if it goes above 29.50. Yesterday we can see that Intel dropped over here and kind of found some support at 29.50. This morning it broke it, but maybe you are optimistic about Intel and you say, well, it's going to come back to 29.50. So you want to be alerted if it does. So what I do is I click and hold my mouse button, and I position that horizontal line right there at 29.50, and I'm going to let go. There it is. I'm going to double click on that horizontal line, because your line may be different than mine, because I've changed the style, I've changed the color, and those are things you can do and set on the double click. You can change the style. Make sure that you set as a default if you want to have that color and style going forward. But what I wanted to show you here is that you can go to the alerts tab and enable the alert. You can set how you want to be alerted. Maybe I want to do just a one-time alert. global messaging preferences, or I want to customize, that messaging, I can do that and just click OK. Now I've set up a price alert on my chart using a horizontal line. Something pretty simple, which means that I can go on to a different workspace, maybe come over here, go to apps, click on radar screen, start doing some other stuff, right? So here, I'm just gonna, and if my Intel chart, breaks that price of 29.50, I'm going to be alerted because I've set up that alert. And even though I'm not seeing that workspace at the moment, that alert is active and it's being monitored tick by tick. Excuse me. Okay. Jim says, very cool stuff TradeStation can do for charting. I do agree with you, Jim. Some of the things that you can do on the platform are very cool. From Duck, I have to leave. Okay, that's fine. The webinar is being recorded. We're going to do our best to have it up on the TradeStation website as soon as we can. Manolo can help you with that. AJ says the apps menu bar doesn't show up on my template. Who can I call to assist? Well, we have a whole team that actually works on the technical side of TradeStation, and you can call them. Manolo, if you have the contact us page link there, you can share it here. You're going to find the technical support numbers there. They can help you with any issues you have on the platform. If you already went to the view menu, application toolbar, and you clicked on show all, and the menu bar is still not showing, then you may need the help of our technical support team, okay? All right, in terms of technical indicators, those are gonna be right here under studies. I'm gonna click on add study and show you a couple things. In the add study dialog, TradeStation categorizes studies into 5 categories. Indicator, show me, pain bar, activity bar, probability map. I recommend you go into each one of those categories. Maybe you find something that catches your eye. Maybe you're looking at this, I don't know, maybe say implied volatility extreme. That is a pain bar. You're not really familiar with how it works. You can highlight that study and then click on definition. And this will open up the help files and open up exactly on that implied volatility extreme pain bar, explain some of the inputs, describe what the indicator does, and then have a little bit of an understanding of what it is, okay? So make sure that you explore around TradeStation just to see what's available, see what you can play around with. But indicators is where you're gonna find most of the popular studies like moving averages, MACD, Bollinger Bands are all going to be here. Let's start off with moving average 2 lines. I'm gonna put it on the screen and then click OK. I accidentally added another one, but that's okay. So we have the 2 moving averages. You probably don't get all those different dialogues that I got. I have my TradeStation set to always go to the format dialog before the indicator goes in, because I have a chance to modify it before it actually goes on the chart. Like right now, if the 2 moving averages are on the chart, you probably didn't tell TradeStation what parameters you wanted. Maybe I want to compare a 50 and a 100 moving average instead of the default. Well, what I can do is I can double click on the lines. Notice that I'm using a lot of the double clicking. I'm a fan of double clicking on things on the TradeStation platform because it is a quick way to access the formatting dialog of that item that I'm double clicking on. If I double click on the moving averages 2 lines, I'm taken to the customized indicator moving average 2 lines. But you can also access this dialog going through the menu. So I can go to studies, edit studies, and then I can pretty much go to this dialog, that different route, okay? Over here, the fast, I'm gonna change it to 50, and the slow, I'm gonna change it to 100. 50, 100. I'm gonna click OK, and then you can see how the 2 moving averages, they recalculate. I think I have a study here that's accessing options data. Let me go to edit studies. Yeah, it's that implied volatility extreme that I had in there. So let me go ahead and remove that. So everybody saw how the moving averages changed calculation They were a little bit closer to the candlestick just a moment ago, but since I increased the periods for the calculation, it has a more smoother calculation, smoother look. So what I'm looking for is for those two lines to cross, historically, and this is something that I'm doing here on my chart. I'm pressing the down arrow and the up arrow keys on my keyboard. If you're new to TradeStation, this is also going to be very convenient for you. Up arrow expands the view. Just press it multiple times. Down arrow compresses the view and gives you more historical data. Talking about historical data, notice what happened to my chart. All this black area on the right-hand side. So the chart doesn't populate the data automatically. I wish it did. Maybe eventually TradeStation will add that onto the charts. But we only get what is given to you by default. So on a 5-minute chart, you get 5 days of historical data. That's all you get. I'm not sure if you're able to see the session breaks, but I see dotted lines, letting me know when one day begins, when the next one, when one day ends and the next one begins. I can see that here on my chart. But if I want to fill the chart with more historical data, I can. And I can do that request using the command line. Let me show you. I'm going to do 90 days. I just started typing 90 days, and that's a historical data request. And it's going to request 90 days of 5-minute data. You can request days, you can request weeks, and you can request years of data. Just experiment and try all those different variations. I'm going to hit enter, and then I get 90 days of historical data. If I scroll using the scroll bar here on the left, at the bottom, the very first day, right here on the very front of the chart, let me click on the background and hold. I'll wait for you to get the data tips window. And you can see that it goes back to January 13th, 2023, 90 days of historical data on Apple at a 5-minute time frame. Okay, up arrow, expand, down arrow, compress. Let's use those, and don't forget that those will allow you to navigate the chart so much better. Okay, the same way that we did on this horizontal line, we can also double click on the indicators and turn on the alert. And you can use messaging preferences. Setting up an alert on an indicator, of course, every indicator is going to have different alert criteria. That's already pre-programmed into the indicator. For example, the moving averages 2 line is going to trigger the signal when the 2 lines cross, because that reflects a signal, bullish signal or bearish signal, depending on which direction the lines are crossing. So turning on the alert would alert you whenever those 2 lines cross. Right now, there's a big separation between the two, so we probably don't expect a crossover very soon. But if we wanted to be alerted when that happens, turn on the alert, something that is built into the TradeStation studies, okay? Excuse me. One of the things that I wanted to show you too is that when you're talking about technical studies, yeah, I can put it on a chart. This is a chart of Intel, and I can turn on the alert so that it alerts me if something's happening on the moving averages for Intel. But what if I wanted to do the same idea, but on a list of stocks? For that, we have to come here to a tool that we call the radar screen. Those of you guys remember, but I went to apps, and radar screen should be one of the buttons in there. Just click it, and you get this empty radar screen. But I can quickly populate with some built-in symbol lists that we have. I'm going to go to the data menu. I'll go to add symbol list. And in this example, I'm going to add the NASDAQ 100. Okay, so it puts those 100 stocks right there on my screen. I'm going to build this workspace with a chart here on the right-hand side. I'm going to go to apps, chart analysis, move the chart here to the right, grab it from a corner, so resize it. And I'm going to link the chart here with my radar screen so that if I click on, let's say, AMD here on the left, I see a chart of AMD. Very nice, huh? I'm going to click on Cisco, CSCO, and then the chart updates to Cisco. That way I keep my quotes or my watch list linked to a chart. Over here, I may not need all these columns that are populated: bid, ask, high, and low. If I click on the header, it highlights the column and I can press delete on the keyboard and it removes the column very quickly. If I click and drag over multiple columns like ask, high, and low, it highlights all three columns. I press delete and the three columns are gone. So you can modify the columns that are visible and the columns that are not. If I click on the plus here to add more columns, this is like add study. You can go here to studies and add studies. It's the exact same thing for you to add more columns. And the column that I want to add is the moving average, because that's what sets RadarScreen, apart from any other scanning tool out there, is that you can add your technical studies in this application. So what I'm looking for, and my idea, is that I want to scan the 100 stocks that make up the NASDAQ 100, and I want my RadarScreen to tell me which ones are crossing right now on that moving average idea. So over here, on my indicator list, I'm going to click on moving average 2-line. Here it is. I'm going to add it, and I'm just going to click OK. On my chart, I'm going to do the same thing: studies, add studies, moving average 2 lines, so that I can compare. I haven't changed the parameters. I'm going to use the default parameters. But if I click on, if you see the value of the fast line for Cisco, this is Cisco, and you see how the cyan line is 47.99. If I look at Cisco over here on the left, and I look at the fast, is 48.55. It's not a matching number. The reason for that is because you have to be aware of the time frame that is being used in RadarScreen, because it's going to be directly tied with the technical studies. You guys see this interval column? You see how it says 5 minutes? So the calculation of my moving averages are based on a 5-minute chart, not on a daily chart like my chart here on the right-hand side. And that's the reason why they're not going to match. So if I want the values to match, I have to use the same time frame. So how do I change the time frame here from 5 minutes to daily? All I need to do is highlight all the symbols. So I'm going to click here on the symbol header. You have to change the symbol itself, and then go to time frame and change these to daily. So now you can see that the interval column says daily. And if we focus on Cisco, this is Cisco down here, the fast average is 47.99, which matches here my 47.99 on the chart. Just something to be aware of, because if you want to do scans on technical indicators, one important component to that is the time frame, because you may be getting the calculations that you were not expecting. So at this point, what I want to do, so Senior is asking, can RadarScreen use custom time intervals? I would like to use my legs for 4 hours on the RadarScreen. Yes, I mean, you could. A 4-hour time frame is 240 minutes, right? So if I wanted to, I can highlight the symbols, go to time frame, and click on customize down here at the bottom. And then I can say minute and say I want a 240-minute bar. And that's the way that you do it, 240 minutes. And this is going to be calculated based on that time frame. Let's go back to daily. All right, and let's start filtering. Now, filtering based on the alert. I want to know which ones are crossing right now on a daily time frame. What I do to find that is I need to turn on the alert on this column. So I'm going to go here to right-click on the header, studies, and I'm going to click on edit moving average 2 lines for all symbols. It's like the same thing we did on the chart, but we're doing it on the RadarScreen. We're going to turn on the alert like we did on the chart, but instead of doing it on one symbol, we're doing it on 100 at the same time. Alerts, enable the alert. I want to alert continuously, so real-time alerts, but I don't want messages. I don't want sounds. I don't want, this is more like a filtering type of alert. I don't want any messages. I'm going to click OK. And that's it. We start seeing some markers here on the right side edge of the column. And you're going to see that the ones that are red are the ones that are giving me real-time alerts. How do I know that? Just because I've been using TradeStation for so long. But let's go ahead and take one as an example. Well, we know for a fact, Cisco is not crossing because we can see it here on the chart. But I see here that this symbol, AstraZeneca, AZN, I'm going to click it, look at the chart, and see that they're crossing exactly on that current bar. See how the moving averages were separated, but on this gap down, this is where the candlestick is. The fast moving average crossed below this low, and we have a signal for AZN. Let's take a look at the other one. This is Baker Hughes. Then again, notice how moving averages were separated. All of a sudden, right now, we get an uptick, and the fast moving average crosses above this low. So this is more like a bullish signal. The one that we were looking at is a bearish signal. This is a bullish signal. So it is kind of telling us which symbols meet the criteria. And I can further filter my list so that I can concentrate on only the ones that are giving me the signal by using the filter bar right here at the top. And I'm going to say, go to the drop down. This gives you access to all the columns that are visible inside of radar screen. I'm going to select the moving average to line, set it to alert, and true. So out of all the 100 symbols that are in the NASDAQ, there are 5 that are giving me a real-time alert on the moving averages crossover. Pretty cool, huh? How long would it have taken you if you had to look at every single chart on those 100 stocks to find the ones that are crossing? It would have been an artist's process and time consuming, but radar screen solves that for you very nicely. Very nicely. Let's see. I don't see any questions yet, so I'm going to continue on. I did want to show you this scanning capability. It's very flexible, very customizable. So if I got you going and thinking about what you could potentially get from radar screen, yes, the answer is going to be yes. It's probably something that you can do. The radar screen is not limited to what comes inside of the platform. So if you go and look at the list of indicators, moving averages, MACD, Bollinger Bands, yeah, those are okay. But if you like to scan on your own studies, if you like to scan on your own calculations, that is something that TradeStation supports, and you can create your own scans and use them on radar screen. Radar screen at Adele is going to be right here. Apps, radar screen. So apps, radar screen. Yeah, the session's being recorded and it should be available to everyone to watch, in a few days. Every presentation that we do, just so that you guys are aware of this, has to go through our compliance department. They need to check to make sure that everything is fine, that I don't say anything crazy. And once they give us the okay, then we can publish that as a recording on the TradeStation website. But it just takes us a couple or a few days to get that process going. So something to give you a little bit of understanding of what happens behind the scenes. Okay, so let's go over here to the next workspace, because I want to give you a few tips on how to place trades. So let's go here to apps and click on matrix. All right, that's my matrix. Perfect. And I'm also going to put a chart next to my matrix. Chart analysis and the matrix is a great combination because the chart analysis gives you a view of your orders. Now that's an option that I turn off on my chart. So let me go ahead and turn it on. Settings, account orders and positions, and I check the status here. What this does, it links my chart to my trading account. So every single order and trade shows up on the chart, which sometimes it's very convenient. This checkbox at the bottom is usually the one that's checked, and I unchecked it because sometimes I want to bring up a chart without all the noise that is probably there from all my trading exercises. So I uncheck that, and if I want to use a chart for managing orders and positions, I go in there and turn it on, but it's on by default, by the way. I haven't traded Baker and Hughes, so you can see that my chart is pretty much clean. But if I bring up something like, I don't know, Apple, you see my Apple chart has all these little white and blue type of signals, and it has a yellow line over here on the right hand because I do trade Apple as an example. Let's go ahead and leave it on Baker and Hughes, BKR, Baker Hughes. Okay, perfect. And we have Baker Hughes here on the matrix as well. Let's go ahead and trade a few things here. Oh, by the way, talking about videos, Brandon, thank you. And you reminded me of something. I'm not sure how many of you here are aware of TradeStation, because my recommendation would be for you to use TradeStation, which is a little bit more organized than our YouTube channel. Well, that's a conversation. That's a totally separate conversation, but let me show you here what I'm talking about. Go to apps, and TradeStation should be one of the apps in here. And TradeStation feeds from YouTube. So the same videos you find on YouTube are going to be fed right here into this application, but right within your platform. This uses web browser technology, so I can use my control and mouse wheel to make this bigger if I wanted to. And this, of course, defaults to the recent uploads. So you can see, last Friday's presentation on the iOS app. We are about to launch a new mobile app, so watch that presentation if you'd like to see what's coming. But here at the top, we have a very convenient menu. So if we're just getting started, you have, let's say, for example, some desktop videos, and we have some videos on the desktop. If you want to dive deeper, then we go to platform and tools. Maybe you want to, look at some radar screen videos, go to scanning tools, and then we have a few radar screen videos or presentations that you can watch. Right here under events, we have special events and the Art of TradeStation. Art of TradeStation are dedicated webinars on, specific functions of the platform, in addition to other important videos. All right. So make sure you use that so that you can take a look at all the videos that are coming through the video. By the way, anytime we upload a video to YouTube, it automatically shows up here, recent uploads. So just to be sure that it's updated and current. Videos on easy language. Yes, I'm sure there is. Go to TradeStation, go to Masterclass, and then leveraging easy language. We have a lot of recordings on easy language. We can also, make some other educational content available to you. So reach out to us if you need, more education on easy language, and we'll share that with you. Anthony, if you're looking for specific content, by the way, Anthony's asking about YCT or You Can Trade content. If you remember, a specific content that you had access to that you don't anymore, reach out to us. Let us know which content is it the one you're looking for, and we may be able to give you a few links for that. Okay. All right. So trading on Baker Hughes. I know that Baker Hughes. Let me put my glasses on so I can see better. Okay. So Baker Hughes trading at 28.60. If you guys see my cursor, the current price is going to be highlighted in yellow. I was going to say yellow, and I was looking at gray here. It's not yellow. It's gray. I know that in TradeStation 9.5, an older version of TradeStation, the last traded price was highlighted in yellow, and my mind just played a trick on me. So that's gray, and it's highlighted right there, 28.61. The number that you see on the left-hand side is the last traded size, but the matrix is also very good at telling you where the buying and the selling pressure is. Over here in the blue column, you have all the submitted buy orders. So all the traders submitting buy limit orders are going to be there. Of course, all the buyers are going to want a lower price. So as they are submitting orders to buy Baker Hughes, let's say at $28.50, they get grouped and visible here, so you can see how many orders, not how many orders, how many shares are waiting to get filled at each one of those price levels. You see all the buy orders and you see the sell orders. So anybody that owns shares of Baker Hughes can submit a selling transaction, and you can see those orders right there. Of course, traders can have a little bit of control over what's visible and what's not. You can send an order that is hidden and it will not be reflected here, but still, it's a great market sentiment indicator. For example, you can see that at 28.63, we have 4,000 shares to be sold at that price. Now, will that act as a resistance for the price to go up any higher? Maybe. Not anymore, because now that dropped to 1,000, but you can see these high level of shares waiting to get filled that could present a little bit of resistance or support depending on which direction they're going. What I'm trying to get to is that it gives you a little bit more visibility on the market. This data that we're looking at right now is referred to as level 2 market depth, and you can see what's going. In addition to just the inside bid and ask, you see everything else that's being offered in the market. Over here on the right-hand side, you see volume. So you see the most traded price. Looking at the graph, the price that has been traded the most is probably this one, 28.31. We had about 60,000 shares traded at that price. Is that significant? Maybe. I'll leave that up to your interpretation, but here this V tells you the volume weighted average price. So not only does it look at the price that is traded the most, but it also looks at the range of prices that have been traded, and it creates an average weighted by volume. So the volume weighted average price is 28.43. Even though it's very lightly traded, that's where the average weighted price falls under. The number in parentheses, this is a question from Jim, right next to the number of shares that are waiting, tells you the number of market participants in that group, or at least, the ones that we are receiving. So when you see a 10, that means that that total number of shares comes from different market makers. It could be, an exchange. It could be an ECN. So that's what the number in parentheses represents. All right, great. So to place trades, if you're a buyer, you would click on the blue column, and if you're a seller, you would click on the red column. So if I want to buy at 28.50, let's say that I want to join those shares that are waiting to get filled right here, I just hover over the blue. I can notice on the, if I look over to the left-hand side, I can see that the quantity is set to 500. If I want to change that to 1,000, I can just come up here to the trade bar, type in 1,000. And then when I come back to my level, now it says buy 1,000 limit. I'm going to click there, and that's it. I submitted my trade. One thing that I did on my matrix is that I disabled confirmations. So as soon as I clicked on that blue cell, you probably saw how my order went through. Order filled. And the market came down and filled me. My horizontal bar right there in blue tells me what my average price is, 28.50. And at the same time, here on the left-hand side, I get real-time P&L. Pretty cool, huh? Over on my chart, what we were talking about, let me open up my chart a little bit more. What we were talking about, it gives you order information. It gives you the blue signal. You have a limit order for 1,000. It tells you where it got filled. Here in yellow, it tells you the average price. I got in at 28.50, and it gives me, my position and the real-time P&L of that position. Pretty cool, huh? You can set targets and stops very quickly here. So if I want to set a profit target of 100, I click on the $100. That submits a selling transaction. You can see it right here on the chart as well. Let me cancel that order. Canceling orders is very quick, very quick. Just click on the order box and the order goes away. If I want to do a stop loss at 300, I click over here, the stop gets sent, and I can see it right here on the chart. Let me cancel that. If I want to bracket my order, I got in at 28.50, let's say, for example, that I want to get out at 29, but I want to set a stop at 28. So what I do, so 28, and 29. Okay, 50 cents higher or 50 cents lower. If I want to set that type of bracket, what I do is I come down to the OCOs I know, and this gets a little bit complicated, but it's once you get a good handle on OCOs and OSO functionality, you're gonna really enjoy using it. I'm gonna go here to my OCOs and I'm gonna do an exit bracket, but I'm gonna go to the ellipsis here on the right-hand side and set my price offset because the default, I knew it was 10 cents and I wanted to set it to 50 cents based on what I just said. That I wanted, my target to be at 29 and I wanted my stop to be at 28. The problem here is that my offsets are going to be calculated not on my entry, but they're going to be calculated on the last traded price. Right now, it's a coincidence that they're both the same exact price, but this offset is calculated on the last traded price. I'm going to click OK and then place that OCO order. But you can see how it brackets your position. Now you have two orders that are connected. If one side gets filled, the other side gets canceled, and you have an all-inclusive trade. You can just leave it and then go on to something else because you've already planned your profits and your targets, and you are content with whichever scenario plays out. If it reaches your profit, you're a happy camper. But if it reaches your stop loss, is what you probably planned for, and you're okay with losing that amount of money. You're not happy, but you're okay. So it's a trade that you can just leave and play out because those orders are already on the TradeStation execution server. All right, this is a good time to open up the floor for Q&A. So let's get those questions rolling in. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that I showed you guys, and we can drill down a little bit deeper. So let's see. Question from Joanne. Can you change that to percentages? When you go in here into the settings of the bracket and you're talking about a price offset, no, these cannot be expressed as percentages, unfortunately. Now, if you wanted to set the targets on a specific price rather than an offset, because in this particular example, the offsets were pretty simple to calculate, 50 cents higher, 50 cents lower. But if you want specific prices, then I would not do it here on the matrix. Let me go ahead and cancel that bracket for now. Let me click on cancel all. What I would do is I would come here to the trade bar, then click on OCO, OSO, and then select the bracket from here, one limit, one stop. From here, I can choose prices. So I can set my limit to $30, and I can make my stop maybe 27.75, whatever the prices are. I send those orders, and then you can see that those orders are reflected here. So it does give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of entering a specific price, but percentages is something that we haven't added to those types of orders. Juan is asking about a Keltner channel alert. If you want to do it on the radar screen, Juan, let's come back here and let's remove my moving averages. So let's do none here. We got all the symbols. All right, let me go ahead and put the Keltner channel here. Okay, so the Keltner channel goes on the screen. Let's say, for example, we want to know out of all these 100 symbols, which ones are triggering the alert of the Keltner channel. So we click on the plus here. We're going to find the Keltner channel. Put it right here on my radar screen. There we go. That is going to calculate in just a moment. There we go. I'm going to right click on the Keltner channel. I'm going to enable the alert. So let me go to edit the Keltner channel, enable the alert, no message center notifications. And there we go. Now all I need to do is select the filter for my Keltner channel, alert, true. And there you have it. Out of all the 100 symbols that are in the NASDAQ 100, there are 6 symbols that are triggering the alert for the Keltner channel. If we want to check one, let's check this top one. This is ADI, analog device. And you can see how on the current bar, there is a breakout of that Keltner channel. There was a breakout a couple days ago on the upper side, but now the breakout is on the bottom side. It's pretty interesting behavior. The next one was something that alerted us in the moving averages. And you can see right here on that gap, it broke the bands of the Keltner channel as well. So that's the way you do it, Keltner channel alert. Question from Marcos. Does the OCO stay if you close TradeStation? Yes. Any order that you submit using the matrix or using the trade bar at the very top or using chart trading, those orders are sent to the TradeStation order execution network. So even if I close out of my TradeStation, those orders are still out there, and TradeStation will monitor them and send them when your price, indications are met. Unless it's the limit order, the limit order goes right to the exchange and it'll be, held on to by the market makers and ECNs that are watching those orders. But yeah, every order gets submitted automatically to the TradeStation servers. Kareem is asking two questions. The difference between TradeStation and TradeStation Pro. I'm not sure. I think you mean OptionStation Pro. Is that what you mean? So how to trade, so there's technical questions, how to trade options for a stock chart, from a stock chart. For example, set a limit buy on Apple chart, but it executes an option. Okay, so OptionStation Pro is an application within the TradeStation platform. So if you want to trade options from the apps menu, you go to OptionStation Pro right here. Everybody sees it? This opens up our options application where you can trade stock options, index options, including, Apple options if you wanted to. Let me bring it up here on the right-hand side. Okay, so this is my OptionStation Pro. I'm looking at an option chain. What you cannot do, though, is what you are describing on your second question, because you want to be looking at a chart of Apple. Let me go back here to my TradeStation, and let's go ahead and set Apple in here. Okay, and let's bring in a daily chart. So if you are on a chart of Apple and you send a limit order, let's say at 170, what you're wanting that to do is to buy the option instead. No, that's functionality that we don't support in charting. If you want to trade the option with the strike price of 170, you have to do it on OptionStation Pro, or you may have to load that symbol right here on the chart. So let me go ahead and go here to OptionStation Pro. Let me load Apple here for just a moment. So AAPL. So let's say, for example, these are the ones that expire, on Friday. So today's until expiration. Let me go here and open up the monthlies. We see the 170 right here. But this would be the symbol. See the symbol over here? AAPL 23/6/16. 6/16 because it's expiring June 16th. It's a call 170. So if I go over here to TradeStation and I put that symbol in here, AAPL space 23/06/16 call 170, and I hit enter, then I'm not looking at Apple anymore. I'm looking at the call for Apple. This is an Apple call with a strike price of 170 expiring June 19th. And right here, if I put in a limit order, these prices that I'm looking at are the prices of the option itself. So that's the way that you would do it, This is a question from Jim. Can TradeStation put Fibonacci price retracement lines on a daily chart and have those lines or those linked to another chart that is 5 minutes, so they show on the 5-minute chart what is on the daily chart? Good question, Jim. And let's see what we can do there. I'm going to go back to Apple. All right, and let me delete that moving average. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set two charts here. So, but before I duplicate the chart, this is what I'm going to do. On a daily chart, I'm going to use, let me open this up a little bit. and squeeze the chart a little bit here. I'm going to use my Fibonacci price retracement to go from, and I'll also, let me go to the drawing and select snap mode. Snap mode will allow me to snap to the high of the bar or any close, any price that is close to my clicking. So if you want to have a little bit of precision as to where the drawing tool is going to be anchored to, it's important that you turn snap mode on. Okay, so we have the Fibonacci retracements that are going to start right at the top of this bar and come down here on this low. So notice that I drew my Fibonacci retracements on a daily time frame, and I'm using about 4 historical bars. I'm going to right click on this chart, and I'm going to copy the window, and then right click over here, and then paste the window. It creates a duplicate of that chart. Everybody sees that? And from here, I'm going to go to the time frame, and I go to a 60-minute time frame. And there we go. So I had the charts linked. That's why the other one on the left changed. But let me go ahead and change that to daily. So now I'm looking at the daily bars of Apple where I drew my Fibonacci retracements. But here I'm looking at an intraday chart using the same Fibonacci because I duplicated it. So make sure that you draw the Fibonacci retracements or any other drawing tool on the higher time frame, and then come over here, build your chart, duplicate the chart, change the time frame, and you should see the same lines going forward. If you want to, drill down, let's go to a 1 minute. If you go to a 1 minute, you may have this issue. And it's good that I went to a 1 minute because maybe that's what you were trying to do. You don't have enough historical data to include where the anchor points are for my Fibonacci. My Fibonacci includes 1, 2, 3 days of historical data. That's where it's anchored to. And if you look at my 1 minute, it only goes back 2 days. So let me go ahead and load 5 days, similar to what I did at the very beginning. And 5 days should have done it. What's it? 5 days. Let's go 10 days. Where are my lines? Should have daily. So the lines are up there. So 1 minute, 10 days, 20 days, 60 minutes. So the lines are here, 1 minute. I would expect the lines to show up. Something's not working right here. So let's go to a 5 minute instead. 10 days. So it should be from this top to this bottom, but they're not showing up. Control reload. That may be just a problem with my data, because you can see they show up on my 60 minute. They show up on my 60 minute. If I bring up a 30-minute chart, they disappear. Let's go to a 15-minute chart. No, not there. 20-minute. So why would it show up on the 60-minute and not? Well, that's something I need to figure out, but just make sure that you have enough historical data for those lines to show up, okay? All right, perfect. Yeah, Kareem, he says some guy on YouTube said it could be done, but yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's something that we don't support on TradeStation, but it sounds like a cool idea. If you are looking at an underlying and all of a sudden, you click on a particular price level, it'd be cool for the technology to give you at least options of which options you can trade at that price level. All right. Yes, exactly, Jim. Thank you for the comments there. All right, so that's it. Thank you guys for joining me today. This is our Getting Started series. We do them every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So you're welcome to join me. At the end of the presentation, we usually open up the floor for a Q&A. I'm trying to bring a class that we've done in the past, which is all about questions. We used to call those sessions Ask the TradeStation Expert, but it's a way for you just to join and ask anything related to the TradeStation platform. And I know that those are very popular sessions as well, okay? But for now, thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you in a future class right here at TradeStation. Goodbye and see you next time. Bye-bye.